have been susceptible in the first two games to changeups, first from Casey Jansen and then Brian Talent.
There's a strike from Romero as he gets ahead of the leadoff man, Dustin Pedroia. Time to play ball here in Toronto, and thank you for joining us. This is Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler.
You mentioned Jacoby Ellsbury out of the leadoff spot with the left-hander. This is the first time all season long that Dustin Pedroia is batting leadoff.
2 pitches in, he swings and pops it up. Kevin Millar backs off first and puts away Pedroia.
Jays have played errorless baseball through the first 2 games in this series. Here's how they'll line up this afternoon. Bautista in left field with Wells and Rios. Kevin Millar gets the call at first base with the left-hander John Lester on the mound for the Boston Red Sox. Scott Rowland back in at third base after the day off yesterday.
J.D. Drew playing right field for the Red Sox. This position in this game might normally be reserved for Rocco Baldelli, but he slammed the sidewall in right field yesterday and is still a little tender. So Drew gets the call today against left-hander Romero.
And that's good to see that X-rays were negative on Rocco Baldelli. It's just a contusion, a bruise. So he is out of there, and J.D. Drew gets the call against the left-hander.
Romero working quickly and throwing strikes. 0-2 on Drew. Here's the curveball swung on and missed. And down goes Drew on 3 pitches.
Saw a little bit of everything right there from Ricky Romero. He'll finish him off with a breaking ball. That just is too tempting for J.D. Drew to lay off. That one might have stayed up high. Good start here for Ricky Romero.
So that brings up Kevin Youkilis. And Kevin shares at least one thing with Romero. Both have been on the disabled list this year because of oblique strains. Kevin was activated on the 20th of May.
Tremendous average at .362, 29 driven in, and just 127 at bats. And he doesn't have any problem with the left-handed pitchers. Hitting close to 400 this year at .395 versus the southpaw.
1 ball and 1 strike on Youkilis. That misses inside. His on-base percentage at .474 is the best in the American League. But just 1 for 7 in this series. Romero kicks and fires. It's drilled high in the air to right center field. Vernon Wells well back there, and it's gone a home run. The Orioles hit 3 of them against Romero in his last outing, and Youkilis has 1 here today.
Shows you the type of power that he has as he powers it to right center field for home run number 8. That ball was elevated by Romero. Kevin Youkilis from that stance just unwinds and uncorks that ball. Stands tall, stays right on that ball. He struck out 3 times yesterday. Talent got him with a bunch of changeups, something you don't see a whole lot of from Youkilis. He didn't miss that one.
And the number 4 hitter follows. Youkilis now with 8 home runs. Jason Bay has 14 this year. He's the man who right now seems to be driving this Boston offense. On Tuesday, Ricky gave up 3 home runs to the Orioles. Aubrey Huff, Adam Jones, and Nolan Reimold all hit 1. As the Blue Jays lost their 8th straight. And as Cito Gaston said, 5 1/3. He gave up 5 runs on 11 hits. The line is ugly, but he didn't pitch that poorly. Made a mistake here or there as he gets this pop up from Bay. Here's Millar, and he dropped it. He was there, but that little added row of seats there cost him an out.
Yeah, it looked like it hit him in the heel of the glove. When you're going over there as a first baseman, you got to find the ball, you got to find the seats, and then you reach up. And you're right, he had the room to make the catch. You just hit him on the heel.
So Romero has to throw another pitch to Bay, and it's a breaking ball down and in. So it's 3-2 now on the Pride of Trail, British Columbia. As you look at 24-year-old Ricky Romero. Rod Barajas forms the battery. Fastball outside, grounded foul.
Well, you talk about what he has done from Pittsburgh after the trade, and he certainly does like playing for contending ball clubs. He seemed to have taken his game to the next level. 23 home runs and 85 driven in just 98 games.
Payoff pitch drilled to right center field. Rios hustling over there. He can't cut it off, so it rolls up against the wall, and now Bay scampers for second.
Catching just a little bit too much of the plate with 2 strikes as Ricky Romero, the last 2 batter. That looked like an off-speed pitch that just kind of floated down the middle of the plate. Got to keep that ball down, or he's got to hit both sides of the plate. 28th extra base hit of the season for Jason Bay. Look at that one right down Broadway on an off-speed pitch. Good hitter, especially with 2 strikes. Will hit that one all the time hard.
Next up is Mike Lowell. Strike 1.
Lowell has done such a good job with 2 outs, with runners in scoring position. He leads this team in 2-out RBIs with 21. And he hits a little bit differently when he has runners on base and with 2 outs. Shortens his swing. Concentrates on hitting the ball back through the middle. Will use the whole field. We saw that yesterday. A couple of at-bats on his base hits were to right field.
There's a wave and a miss, 1 and 2. And Kevin Millar must be praying for a strikeout here, because he had a golden opportunity to put away Jason Bay, but the ball clanked off the heel of his glove. Bay standing at second.
You got to pick each other up. This time the curveball's down and away. Look at the difference between that one and the one that Bay hit.
A 1-2 pitch, fastball, strike 3. No damage done. At least after the home run. Kevin Youkilis hit one deep into the seats in center field, and Boston has an early 1-0 lead. You see Kevin Millar playing first base. Scott Rowland is back in the lineup. He had a day off yesterday. Jose Bautista's in left field. Adam Lynn, the DH. So Cito Gaston sticks with his plan, and the plan is to face John Lester, who is normally good for 6 or 7 innings, but his record this year certainly not glowing at this point.
11th start of the season for John Lester, and he came into this year with a career record of 27-8, a tremendous winning percentage, trying to get on track. 3-5 with an ERA over 6.
Broken bat, pop up. And I don't think Jason Varitek saw that baseball.
No, didn't see it at all. That's where he's got to get some help. And Lester was yelling to him. It was behind him. As you see what's left of Marco Scudero's bat. Watch Jason Varitek, the catcher. Got to take the mask off and has no idea where it is. You see Lester pointing to it. But by then it's too late for Varitek.
Marco goes to the bat rack for a new piece of lumber. As the 25-year-old from Tacoma, Washington, John Lester, fires the second pitch right in there for a strike.
Good strong fastball. In his career, he's 2-2 versus the Blue Jays with a very good ERA of about 3.5, but he has had his trouble here at Rogers Center. He has yet to beat the Blue Jays here.
Here's the 0-2, chopped over Lester's head. Green tries to barehand it, can't pick up the baseball. So Scudero has a base hit. That's 8 straight games for Marco.
And how many infield singles have we had in this series? I think that's number 4 for Scudero, and you know he'll take it. It looked like Nick Green, the shortstop, had a chance to kind of glove that ball because it was hit a little bit harder than maybe he thought. No chance for Lester to get it. And here comes Green. He's going to go do or die with the bare hand. But I thought he had a little bit more time right here to kind of glove, transfer, and throw.
So that brings up Aaron Hill, who takes a strike. And speaking of hit streaks, how about Aaron? He's sitting on 13 right now. 2 shy of his career high. And longest streak by a Blue Jay this year. Lester the pitch. And it's down. They appeal over to first. But it's ball 1. 1-1 the count on Hill. Aaron's batting .316 over the course of that 13-game hit streak. Runs it in. Strike 2.
Shows you the kind of stuff that Lester has. Totally fooling Aaron Hill, who's been in some kind of streak. This is what he has done in the 13 games. The average .316, 18 hits. The 77 hits that he has leads all of baseball. So we've got some hot hitters. Marco Scudero, .457 over his 8-gamer.
Marco at first base, nobody out, bottom of the first. Swung on and missed, and Hill strikes out. He's gone swinging, 1 out.
That's part of John Lester that had been missing his last couple of starts. He had a string of 8 straight, at least 5 strikeout games. His last 2 just 4. His season high is 10, and he has just been very inconsistent with his breaking ball. But you can see from those replays how much of a bite he's got on that curveball. And if he gets that over for strikes, it could be a long afternoon.
Well, he still averages over 9 strikeouts per 9, which puts him 3rd in the league behind Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. As Alex Rios steps in, and Rios had himself a day yesterday, going 4 for 4, 2 runs driven in, 2 runs scored, 2 doubles mixed in. And if the 3, 4, and 5 hitters continue to swing the bats like we've seen the last 2 games, that would be great news for the Blue Jays.
Well, they're coming up with 2-out hits, which are huge. Something that we kind of talked about a lot on that 9-game losing streak, that they just were not hitting with runners in scoring position. But since they've been home, up over 340, which is good to see. And this is a guy who was leading them yesterday.
Hitters count here at 2-0. Scudero a short lead at first. He's creeping out there and dancing now. Lester comes to the plate and gets a strike.
Marco's trying to get a walking lead over at first base. That's where your momentum just keeps going over there, and just keep walking out there and see if that pitcher will make you stop. If you don't, hey, just go ahead and take it. Take that bag.
Three balls and one strike on Rios. And he's hitting .338 against Boston.
The only Maglio Ordonez in his career is better than Rios. He seems to raise his game against some of the better pitching staffs in the American League. I know Alex tattoos the Yankees also. He's got great numbers against them in his career.
Here's the 3-1 pitch fouled away. Be interesting to break those numbers down and see how well he fares at Fenway Park with the wall in left field.
You know, I would not want to see him play 81 games in Fenway Park, because the way he swings, he hits high home runs, right? He's not one of those line drive home run hitters that if he played 81 games in Fenway Park, I think he'd be a 40 home run type of guy. He can miss hit balls there and hit it out.
Two of Lester's 3 victories this year have come in Boston. His lone win on the road at New Yankee Stadium. He went 7 innings against New York on the 4th of May. He's keeping an eye on Scudero here. A full count on Alex Rios. Here comes the payoff pitch, and it's fouled off the glove of Veritek.
Cito elects to start the runner over at first base to stay out of the double play. The way Rios is hitting with the 4 hits yesterday, he's looked very comfortable of late. That's when you want to start the runner, because it doesn't strike out a whole lot when a guy is hot like that. Maybe you can get yourself on the scoreboard. Stay out of that double play.
Scudero's running again. Ball 4 inside. So Vernon Wells will hit with 2 men on.
Walks have been a problem this year for John Lester. Usually he has got very good control. Last year, when Lester won 16 ball games for the Boston Red Sox, he just had 66 walks in 210 innings, which was excellent. This year, that ratio is not that good. That's his 22nd walk already this year in 10 starts.
Ball 1 to Vernon Wells. I wonder how much, Pat, the fact that he pitched 210 innings last year plays into this slow start, because that's about 60 more innings than at any other time in his professional career.
Yeah, and I think he's young enough and he's strong enough that that shouldn't have a problem. The Red Sox went deep into the playoffs. That might have had something to do with it. You know, you see a lot of these young pitchers who pitch deep as that the runners take off, and they take advantage of Lester.
Double steal. Scudero to third, Rios up to second.
He was watching Scudero when he was on first base, but when they got the runners on, it's one look, high leg kick, and see you later. No chance for Veritek to throw out either one of those runners. Point I was making about the playoffs, you know, you have to guard against young pitchers pitching the whole season, then deep into the playoffs. Maybe you back them down a little bit at the start of the next year.
The crowd comes to life here. Breaking ball for strike 1 on Wells. Vernon came up with a very big 1-out double in the 7th inning, giving the Blue Jays a cushion. His RBI made it a 5-3 game. Here he's got 2 on, and now Lester needs a little time. Vernon saw some video of his at-bats in Atlanta. And he's made some adjustments. 3-1. He simply said, I was getting started late. Cito Gaston noticed it as well, and was getting on top of a lot of the baseballs. He's not that concerned with hitting home runs right now. They'll come, he says. His concern is putting a solid piece of wood on the ball and getting some line drives. So on 3-1, here's the pitch, and he gets under this one, popping it into left field. Bay settles under it. Scudero tags at third. Here comes Marco racing home, and he slides in safely. And now Alex Rios, thinking about advancing from second, stays put. The Blue Jays tie this one.
You can't play it any better than the way Jason Bay played that in left field. That is a medium fly ball to left field, and he did everything right. He got behind the ball. His momentum is coming home. You see right there, he's got his hand right up by his glove, and he comes and he throws a strike to the plate. 2 hops right at Varitek, but Scudero and the ball all come together at the home plate right at the same time, and you see how he kicks his glove out. That's just good base running and good defensive play. Rios thought about tagging up and advancing, but the throw was perfect right at the cutoff man. He could not move up to third.
Are you a little surprised he didn't take off from second after it bounced away from Varitek?
Well, he knows that John Lester is right behind there backing up, and I think he would have been out if he tried to advance after the play, after the ball was kicked out of the glove of Varitek, because it just was right on the dirt.
The Blue Jays get the run back. There's the off-speed pitch from Lester. 1-1 on Lind. Vernon has his 25th RBI. Two gone, bottom of the first inning. Lester the kick and the pitch, runs it inside.
Lind has had success in this 2-game series so far. As you take a look at the numbers for Lester after 10 starts last year when he won 16 games, and after 10 starts this year with an ERA over 6. But Lind was talking in this series how he is taking the ball away from him and hitting it hard the other way. Boston might want to change that up a little bit.
Strike 3. He's gone looking, and that breaking ball from Lester, and that ends the first inning. But the Blue Jays tie it on Wells' sacrifice fly to left. And after 1, we're tied at 1. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. This is your chance to win a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV. To do so, just go right now to sportsnet.ca/baseball game and launch it. Second inning of play. Here's David Ortiz. who is 0 for 8 in the series, and that's misleading. He has really hit it on the screws.
Yeah, he really has. He's lined out a couple of times hard to the first baseman, a deep fly ball with the bases loaded in his first at bat here. He seems to be coming out of it. Whoops. Slippage. That's when you want to get that baseball and rub it up a little bit more. Wants to throw a breaking ball. Hello. David Ortiz has played in 45 games this year. He already has 20 hitless games, which is so hard to believe because he's been such a great hitter. Almost half of his games this year have been hitless.
That is something else.
He's been consistent. He's had power, but this year it's just not working out so far the first couple of months of the season.
He's 0 for 9 now in this series after grounding out to the shortstop, Marco Scudero. So Jason Varitek then will bat with 1 out. Varitek is the lone switch hitter in the lineup for the Red Sox. He hits .235 from the left side and .265 from the right. And he has 10 home runs this year, 5 from the left side, 5 from the right. So he's been able to balance it quite nicely.
Hey, any kind of offense that Terry Francona can get from anybody, the way they have struggled this year scoring runs. Boston doesn't seem to have any problem when they are at home scoring runs, but so far this year on the road they have averaged just over 3 runs a game. His team knows it. They've struggled. They're on a 10-game road trip right now, and they need somebody to help them out of this hitting slump.
Here's Rowland. Off balance throw gets Varitek 2 gone. Welcome back inside Rogers Center. Let's go downstairs quickly and find Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, you're seeing Jacoby Ellsbury hitting that 8 spot today, and Tito Francona really trying to take advantage of his on-base guys at the top of the order. The reason for Ellsbury moving down, and for the very reason that you have touched on, Pat, that it's been a bit of an issue scoring runs on the road for the Boston Red Sox, taking advantage of that matchup here, especially with the left-hander on the mound.
First time out of the leadoff spot this year for Jacoby Ellsbury. Boston hitting over 300 and averaging over 6 runs a game at Fenway Park. But when they hit the road, they've had their problems. Just about 250 as a team and 3.5 runs a game on the road.
0-2. Chopped over Romero's head into center field, and Ellsbury has a base hit. Not bad for a guy who normally hits about .224 against left-handed pitching. He's on with 2 out.
You know, just like yesterday when we were watching the game, Brad Penny made a couple of mistakes, 0-2, and got hit. Joe Inglet comes to mind with a base hit. That was not a very good 0-2 pitch to Jacoby Ellsbury.
So Nick Green, the backup shortstop, and I say backup, that said he's started 2 of the 3 games here. Julio Lugo has really fallen out of favor. They've got him under contract, I believe, until the end of next year. And they have Jed Lowry, who is probably about a month away from coming back. And now Ellsbury heads for second and slides in safely.
No hesitation at all from Ellsbury. Not a very big lead over there because he hasn't seen Romero's move over to first base, and he certainly hasn't seen his good move. But a good secondary lead, and as soon as that ball hit the dirt, he was gone. Look at that. As soon as it hit there, he knows how hard that is for the catcher to block the ball and come up with it cleanly, and then with a guy with that kind of speed to try and throw him out. No chance for Rod there.
So here's Green then with a chance to drive him in.
Be careful with Nick Green with runners in scoring position. He's got 15 RBIs all year long. 13 of them have come in this situation here, hitting over 400, 462 with 13 RBIs when runners are in scoring position. So he has really capitalized in this spot.
There's the proof.
Goes up with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. 2 outs, so he's been clutch. He's made the most of his base hits.
And here's trouble. Romero walks the number 9 hitter. And with runners at first and second, he'll face the reigning American League MVP.
This is looking like the first inning where he easily got the first 2 batters and then gave up a couple of hits. Got the first 2 here easily. Single wild pitch and walk now. Something wrong with the bat for Dustin Pedroia. I don't know if he picked up the wrong bat. He was almost to home plate. Had to go all the way back and get his gamer.
Well, Dustin's lone hit in this series came in the first inning in the opening game Friday when he singled to center field off Casey Jansen. He has been unable to get a base hit since. And over to first, Kevin Millar loads of time, and they've got Green in a rundown. Romero covers, there's the tag, and that gets Romero out of a pickle. Red Sox a little too aggressive there, and the Blue Jays catch a break.
Well, it looked like they were going to have the double steal. There goes Nick Green at first base, but he goes, uh-oh, somebody missed a sign here. Millar finishes it off by tagging Green.
Tino is here as well. Bottom of the second, Scott Rowland will lead off against John Lester. It certainly appears that the Red Sox made a critical running mistake to end the top half of the second inning.
You usually don't see that from the Red Sox. It's a veteran club. It's a very smart club. They usually don't run themselves out of innings like that. It looked like Ellsbury kind of broke, and that might have decoyed Nick Green. Look how far off he is at first base. That's an easy pickings right there for Rod Barajas.
So as you pointed out, that tells you that Green got the sign that there might have been a double steal on, but perhaps Ellsbury didn't.
Maybe.
Based on body language?
Yeah. Somebody missed a sign. Either they were going to try and double steal or something. But not a good play right there for the Sox.
1-2 to Scott Rowland. He rips this foul. Rowland did not play yesterday. He had the day off and watched Bautista go 0 for 4 at third. This after going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 doubles in the opener on Friday. Boy, normally a day like that at the plate gets you another shot.
Yeah, but Cito's been pretty consistent all year long. Day game after night game. Scott Rowland gets some time off. Bautista gets some at bats. And he uses his bench a little bit.
Three balls, two strikes. Here's Lester. And that's upstairs for ball four. He's walked his second man.
Well, that's how it's gone for John Lester this year. Let's take a look at the scouting report for this yet. Lefty's got very good late life to his fastball. He can run it up there 90, 95 miles an hour. He's been very inconsistent to start the season. 6 starts with 5 earned runs or more. He's only had 10 starts all season long, and he's had his troubles on the road. 1-3 with an ERA over 7. Batting average against John Lester on the road over 300. Something we didn't see last year when he won those 16 games.
Here's Kevin Millar. Millar was a very popular figure with the Red Sox the first time they won a World Series this decade. That was 2004. And Varitek watches the ball squeeze under his legs, so Rowland takes second.
There's some more baseball instincts right there. Scott Rowland is a very good base runner. He knows when he can move up. He knows when he can take the extra base. Just like in the top of the inning, a ball in the dirt, he's off. As soon as that hits that dirt, you can see the flight of the ball when you're over at first base. And if you can read that that ball's in the dirt, why not just take off? Catcher's got to come up with it cleanly and make a good throw to get you.
So here's the 1-1, and that's grounded foul. It looks like that ball, when it got through Varitek's legs, hit the right leg of home plate umpire Andy Fletcher, and that prevented it from going to the backstop. So a walk and a wild pitch has Rowland at second with nobody out, and a 1-2 pitch coming to Kevin Millar. And he strikes out looking.
He was looking for the local and got the express. Looking for something off speed. Lester changes up on him and throws a fastball right at the knees on the inside part of the plate. Third strikeout already for John Lester.
Here's Rod Barajas then. One and 0 on the catcher. He checked in late yesterday after Raul Chavez started. Picked up a single in the 6th, then was replaced by a pinch runner, John McDonald. Barajas breaks the bat, rolls over to Lowell at third, and is thrown out.
That is just a nasty, nasty cutter right there from Lester. As a right-handed batter, you see the ball, you go and try and swing at it, and you hit it right above your thumbs. Watch where this ball is. Boy, right in on the kitchen of Rod Barajas. Cutting right in. Jim Abbott had a great cut fastball that he could really run in on right-handers.
How do your hands feel after that?
Like you're holding a hornet's nest. A whole bunch of bees.
So Jose Bautista steps in now. 2 gone, runner at second base in a 1-1 ball game, and he looks at strike 1. Bautista has 4 hits in 11 at bats against Lester, one of them a home run. But lately, in limited playing time, he has just 3 in his last 20 at bats.
It's been a valuable guy for Cito Gaston. He could play some third. Also seen him play some shortstop. He's in the outfield. Looking to drive in the run here.
One and one. 3 years ago, Bautista hit 16 home runs with the Pirates. And he looks at a breaking ball for strike two. He was acquired from Pittsburgh last year for catcher Robinson Diaz. And to a degree this year plays the role that Marco Scutaro played last year. You can play this guy pretty well anywhere.
Yeah. Anywhere in the infield. I think anywhere but center field in the outfield. A valuable player, especially I think in the American League when you want to give guys days off. National League, they use their bench just a little bit more, but you need guys on the bench here that can play multiple positions in the American League.
Lester's looking for the strikeout pitch here on 1 and 2. And that's down. So it's 2 and 2 on Bautista. Scutaro's on deck. Scott Rowland up at second. In the bottom of the second. Arnsberg and Barajas choose some things over. And there's strike three. Gets it over for a strike and takes care of Bautista, leaving Rowland at second base. After two, it's a 1-1 ball game. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Comfy chairs courtesy of TD Canada Trust are representatives of the Toronto Blue Jays Community MS Society. Roof is closed today at Rogers Center. Game 3 of a 3-game set. This is the finale. It's Ricky Romero against John Lester. Boy, the Blue Jays came back from that terrible road trip. They lost all 9 and have put together consecutive victories over Boston. All of a sudden, nobody's writing about how bad the Blue Jays are. They're writing about the fact that they've received good starting efforts from both Casey Janssen and Brian Talent. The bullpen, specifically Brandon League and Scott Downs, have looked excellent. And the hitters are getting the clutch hits as Pedroia backs up Rowland. And he's thrown out 5-3. Once again, let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, before the game, a presentation was made to Rookie League Honorary Commissioner Vernon Wells, at which point over the course of the weekend there was a donation drive and a old equipment drive used to support the Rookie League. with Wells as the honorary commissioner, they were able to gather about $2,000 and close to 150, 200 pieces of used equipment to give kids the opportunity to play that wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity.
So we give our thanks to many of you who came to the ballpark this weekend and dropped off old and used equipment as J.D. Drew picks up a base hit. Kevin Youkilis steps in. He homered to center field to give Boston an early lead. Public perception of Ricky Romero's chances at making this rotation on the 1st of March were probably not very good.
You know, I am so glad that he did, for the simple fact that he's got a chance to work with Brad Arnsberg. I've got a lot of respect for Arnie as a pitching coach, and I think he has done wonders for Romero. Remember how awful he was at the beginning of spring training? But it was Brad Arnsberg who took him aside and worked with him about getting his motion coming towards home plate. And he was begging the Blue Jays to let this kid's arm make the big league club.
It was Arnsberg, according to my information, that essentially intervened and said, look, you can't send him down to minor league camp. Let me work with him.
And I know there's all kind of things that you have to do as an organization with options and things like that as Romero gets the ball on the ground when you send guys down. But when he came off the disabled list, I was a little surprised they sent him down to AAA. There are some numbers in his first big league season. Now, when he went down to AAA, he did not do very well. Through 14 innings, and his ERA was about 7, so he was not very good. So I was real happy to see him come back here so he can stay and have Arnsberg watch him. And he can work with Arnie on the side, and Arnie can pick things up. No disrespect to the people down in the minor leagues, but I think Brad Arnsberg does such a good job with young pitchers.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Youkilis. Drew with a short lead at first. Here's the kick and the pitch. And it's upstairs for ball 3. Yet again, let's go downstairs and bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Pat, as an aside to that, you know, this was a guy who came up as a stuff guy. He knew he had great stuff, but getting a pitcher to believe he has great stuff is another thing. I think Brad Arnsberg has really worked on the mental side of his game as well, getting him to believe that his stuff is as good as it is.
The payoff.
Maybe giving hitters a little bit too much credit instead of trusting your stuff. You hear that all the time, don't you?
In fact, Arnsberg told him that, and this is a direct quote, if you believed in your stuff the way I do, sky's the limit, son.
Well, he showed that in his first 3 starts of the year. Outstanding. And then the oblique problem. So he's trying to knock some of that rust off right now, I think.
Here's the pitch. Grounded toward Roland. He charges the ball up and over to first in time to get Youkilis.
Time to put a little star next to that play. With 2 strikes, Scott Rowland is playing very deep with Youkilis at the dish. So he's got a long way to come. This is how you win all those gold gloves. Here we come. Sweep it and then throw an accurate ball. Good job by Millar on the back end to really cheat a little bit and get off that bag to show the umpire that he made the play. Good job on both ends there.
Back comes Jason Bay. He takes a late swing and falls behind 0-1. When he came up in the first inning, Bay popped one into foul territory just past first. Kevin Millar got to the ball but couldn't grip it. Gave Bay another chance, who later doubled. And luckily for Millar, Romero struck out the next hitter, Mike Lowell. And some might be wondering, why is Ricky Romero continuing in the rotation and Scott Richmond is being skipped? And the simple answer to that was Romero is the number 4 in the rotation. He won that spot out of spring training. Richmond is the 5th man. And so on 1-1, the pitch is low. It's 2-1 now on Bay. J.D. Drew up at second. This game tied at 1.
So important to have good hitters behind you. First base is open. Romero is being very careful with Jason Bay. But there's a pretty decent hitter behind him who thrives in 2-out situations.
He walks Bay, extending the inning. And though he struck out Lowell the last time they faced each other, Lowell is an accomplished hitter.
34 RBIs, an average up over 300. Caught him looking first time with a fastball on the inside part of the plate. Half of his home runs have come against left-handed pitchers.
Ball 1. Strike 1.
Eight home runs. He hasn't had a problem against lefty this year, hitting around 300 against left-handed pitchers. Also, his splits are they're right down the middle, lefty righty. Very consistent year so far for Michael Lowell.
He's got 2 World Series rings. 1 with the 03 Marlins and another one 2 years ago with Boston.
A little timeout right now as that one went right off the puppies. Right off the top of the shoe, and Barajas goes out to talk to his pitcher to give Lowell a little veteran courtesy right there.
2 strikes. The pitch from Romero. Laced and foul. Just foul. So they'll do it again. Tim McClellan was standing right there. Here's the great view.
This will show you how close this one did come. And look at Tim McClellan. I've seen this before. Hands on hips, and okay, foul ball. Not very animated is the big man.
Lowell doesn't chase there. It's 2-2.
Nice play by Barajas right there. I don't know how he caught that ball. It looked like it went right off the plate, didn't it? And when it hits that plate, it could go anywhere. Holds onto a breaking ball just a little bit too long, right off the plate. It's a good play right there. Excellent play by Barajas.
2-2 outside. So on 3-2 and 2 out, runners will get a jump here. Lowell is the batter. David Ortiz is on deck. Here's Romero trying to wiggle his way out of this. He gets him. Pulled the string, and Lowell strikes out on a nasty changeup, and that ends the top half of the 3rd.
He got him with a fastball the first time up, and you're right, he pulls a string here in a big situation. Romero wriggles out of it. We head to the bottom of the third, all tied up.
Rogers Center giveaway, and it's 1 week from today here at Rogers Center. They're celebrating the 20th birthday of this building and giving away 10,000 of these to the first 10,000 customers. A week from today when the Blue Jays take on the Kansas City Royals. Marco Scutaro at the plate in the bottom of the third inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino. Our Sportsnet.ca columnist Scott Carson is up in the booth with us, watching John Lester face Scutaro. No balls and 2 strikes. We'd like to send a happy belated 58th birthday out to Paul Curley, who's watching today in Calgary on Sportsnet West. Marco with a base hit, an infield single in the first. He has, get this, 6 straight multi-hit games going right now. He could make it 7 with a base hit here.
Hitting close to 400 over his last 15 games. Great on-base percentage, one of the best in the American League. 3 infield singles. I looked it up during the break. I think I said 4 after he got that infield single his first time up.
You were close, and uh-oh is right. Not another. He got one. He got one. It's now 4.
I was right. It was 4. Out of way, Marco.
You know what the key here is hitting it off the plate. He did it again.
Something that I have noticed about the Red Sox infielders here on the turf at Rogers Center, they play very deep. This field, since they changed a few years ago to that field turf, plays more like a grass field, so it's a lot slower. And you see how Nick Green has to come way in from shortstop to try and make that play. You don't have to play deep like you used to on this turf with nobody out. Ball got to you a lot quicker back then.
So here's Aaron Hill. And Scutaro's back to the bag. All right, I'll put you on the spot here. What do you think is more impressive? Aaron Hill has a 13-game hit streak, but Marco Scutaro has hit safely in 7 with multi-hits. More than 1 hit in 7 straight.
I guess we have to break down the numbers, right?
I guess so.
Did they break them down for us?
There's a wave and a miss, and it's 0-1. I think over the course of that time, Aaron is hitting around .316. And Marco's well over 400, so I guess.
I like the multi-hit.
You do?
Yeah. They're both pretty good.
Yes, they are. Where would the Blue Jays be without Scutaro and Hill?
Cito was kind of talking about how well they have done at the top of the lineup, and now the 3, 4, 5 guys have to take advantage of that. They have to start driving in runs because they've been getting on base so many times. We saw it in yesterday's game. Second time all year that 3, 4, and 5 drove in a run in the same game all year.
And that's why it's become automatic for manager Cito Gaston to write these two men's names into the lineup. They have played in every game, started every game this year. The only other man that can make that claim is Vernon Wells. And every day, the manager cannot find a reason to give them a day off.
Eventually, he knows he has to. But boy, when they are producing the way they're producing now, there's no need to.
First man is aboard here in the bottom of the third. 1 and 2 on Hill. He grounds into the hole. Green picks it up, gets it to second in time, and what a play.
That had the makings of setting up this inning quite nicely, but what a play by Nick Green is right. He's got the range. He knows he's not going to turn two. His only play is the one he made. Cutter in on the hands. He backhands it and very quickly throws a strike to Pedroia, who kind of acts like a first baseman. You have to act like a first baseman there. See how you stretch out like that and get that throw just ahead of a sliding Marco Scutaro. Nice play by the middle of the infield of the Red Sox.
We don't often get excited about your average fielder's choice, but that one gets a star. And so Alex Rios now bats for the second time. He walked and stole a base in the first inning. If you've just joined us, Boston took the lead in the top of the first inning on a solo home run by Kevin Youkilis, and the Blue Jays got it back in their half. Scutaro picked up an infield single. And then Rios and Scutaro pulled off a double steal after Hill had struck out. So Vernon Wells was able to lift a fly ball into left field, and he scored Scutaro on a sacrifice. John Lester made headlines last year with his no-hitter of the Kansas City Royals at Fenway Park on the 19th of May.
Good eye right there. Lester took a little something off and a fastball count right there, trying to get Rios to fish for it. Tells me that he is really starting to get locked in when you can take a pitch like that and a fastball count.
Pops it up. Over comes Pedroia. Rios is gone, and it's time for another Fast Fact. They're presented to you by Rogers High-Speed Internet, the fastest and most reliable, period. And I think you touched on this. Yesterday was just the third time this year that Rios and Wells had driven in a run in the same inning. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Rios, Wells, and Lind, all had RBIs yesterday for just the second time all year.
You know how aggressive Vernon Wells is, and he likes that first pitch. Looks like they want to stay away from him.
They do, and it's ball one.
Yeah, when you know a guy likes to go after that first pitch, you can throw something off speed. You don't necessarily have to throw a strike. Maybe you can see if he can get himself out. timeout for the Pigeons. Did you see them?
I did.
They were walking around the third base line and just right into the path and the vision of Vernon Wells looking out.
It's a good thing Randy Johnson isn't pitching today. Their lives would be in danger. Oh, wow. Lowell manages to keep his eye on the baseball and throws out Wells because he had essentially two pieces of a bat coming his way at the same time. That bat just exploded. Here, this event presented by Teletoon. That's Brian Tallett's next start. In fact, he'll face right-hander John Lackey in the third and final game of a series against the Angels. Here it's the end of a series against Boston. Both teams have a day off tomorrow. The Blue Jays spend theirs right here in Toronto. The Red Sox will roam Detroit on their day off and start a series against the Tigers on Tuesday. David Ortiz, the DH, 0 for 1. Hit well, hit deep, back to the wall and off the base. Wells picks it up. Ortiz has his first hit of the series.
They have been waiting 3 games to see the big man swing it just like that. We were so used to seeing him hit this ball like this hard all the time. It looked like a slider out over the middle of the plate. He stays back and he hits it hard. We were talking his first time up. It's not like he's been getting himself out or he hasn't been hitting the ball hard, just hitting those balls right at people. That time he hit it over them. 13th double of the season for Ortiz.
We've heard that sound 3 or 4 times in this series.
Yeah.
And this time one drops for Ortiz, a double to lead off the 4th inning. Ball 1 to Veritek.
Red Sox have had their trouble scoring runs. We've talked about that. Terry Francona has talked about that. Good time here for some situational hitting. They've already left 4 runners on base through 3 innings.
Here's Romero's 2-0 pitch. And Veritek chases it 2-1.
Didn't look like he was trying to advance the runner there, was he?
No.
2-0. He was going to try and pick one out and get 2 runs on the board. He might spread out a little bit now and just try and hit the ball hard the other way.
Ball 4.
Well, here are the probables after the off day on Monday, and the first one looks like it's going to be a dandy. Halliday versus Saunders. 2 of the better pitchers in the American League. Then Jared Weaver will oppose Casey Jansen. Brian Talent back to the mound, and he's going to go up against John Lackey. So 3 good matchups as the Angels are starting to put it together. They've lost some tough games this year. Their bullpen is unsettled. But business first here. First and second, nobody out. Jacoby Ellsbury, an excellent bunter. He leads the club in bunt hits. You see him kind of looking around right now where everybody's playing if he decides to lay one down, which I think they're going to do. See him kind of glancing to see where Millar is.
Ellsbury turns. And he makes Millar pick it up, so Hill covers first.
Normally, with runners on first and second, you want to make that third baseman field the ball. But with Ricky Romero, a lefty on the mound, he is falling off the mound. The play is the one that we just saw. Bunt it to the first baseman. He's not in very far. He's got to respect the left-handed bat of Ellsbury. He deadens that ball perfectly, and the Sox have runners in scoring position. Good job by Ellsbury.
And though Nick Green is the number 9 hitter in Boston's lineup, as you touched on earlier, he is really hitting well with runners in scoring position. Here is a situation like that. Second and third. Big Papi stands at third. Lowell up at second.
And the Blue Jays will concede that runner at third base. They're going to play the infield back. They've got the corners in, so that doesn't necessarily mean there won't be a play at the plate. If he hits one on the nose, maybe a short hopper to the middle of the infield, your play isn't automatically to first base. If you think you can get Ortiz at the plate, go ahead and make that play. You see Millar in at first base. If anything comes to him that's firm, he'll have a shot at Ortiz. But if it's on the ground, 3, 4, 5 bounces to the middle of the infield, they'll concede the run.
Green waves at that pitch, so it's a ball and 2 strikes.
He has been able to score the run from third with less than 2 outs 25% of the time. Hard to get the ball up in the air or on the ground on a pitch like that.
Here's Romero, the 1-2. And did he get him to chase? No. Barajas asked for the appeal. Scott Berry says Green did not go around.
Little anxious right now. He's throwing a lot of breaking balls, but from that high home shot right there, you can tell he did not go. Held up in time.
And he goes after that one, striking out. Barajas looks back. Ortiz finishes off Green. And that's a big second out.
You know, it's big, Jamie, because he didn't throw a strike. Nick Green got himself out by chasing breaking balls, bouncing in front of home plate. A little over anxious right here. Just keep going back to it. If he's going to keep adding and going after it, keep bouncing it up there.
And give some credit here, Pat, to Rod Barajas for really preventing all of those pitches from getting past him.
Yeah, there was probably 3 or 4 of them right there. Good job by blocking it.
So the infielders are back into normal depth here, with Dustin Pedroia, the leadoff hitter. This inning opened with a double by Ortiz. Romero then walked Varitek. Ellsbury moved them along. Green has now struck out. 2 gone. 0-1 on Pedroia. And he checks his swing. 1-1.
Dustin Pedroia last year hit 17 home runs. He just has 1 this year. He was talking the other day saying he could definitely tell that the pitchers are not throwing fastballs on the inner half to him anymore, especially when they're in Fenway Park where you just have to get it up in the air.
Ripped to left field. Well hit. And gone.
Well, it wasn't a fastball.
A 3-run shot.
And that's the difference between this park and Fenway Park. That line drive right there doesn't go out. That's off the wall. So he says his home runs will come. The fastball, he's not finding it inside, but this is a breaking ball that just kind of hangs out over the plate. It's able to speed his bat up, and he hits it right down the line. It looked like it hit the foul pole. Scrapes just over the wall. Second home run today by the Red Sox.
He seemed to give it a little bit of Carlton Fisk, trying to will that ball.
I think everybody on base was blowing it. You know, the 2 runners.
Pedroia now with 2 home runs, but that one lined right over the wall and left, puts the Red Sox ahead. 4-1 is the score after Drew strikes out. Between noon and 1 p.m. Visit with Adam at that time. Information can be found at jaysshop.ca. Adams the hitter here to begin the bottom of the 4th inning with his team down 4-1. Ricky Romero has given up a pair of home runs, a solo shot to Youkilis, and of course the one you just saw by Dustin Pedroia. Unfortunately for Ricky, that Pedroia shot comes with 2 men on, so it's 4-1 Boston.
Keeping the ball in the ballpark wasn't really a problem for Romero his first 3 starts of the season, but the home run ball has been vexing to him his last 2 starts.
Well, he gave up 3 in his last outing against the Baltimore Orioles. 2 so far here today.
And that's just 6 all season long. 5 of them in his last 2 starts here.
Lester on the 1-2 to Lynn. Low for ball 2.
Well, what the Blue Jays don't want to do as hitters is let Lester get comfortable. He seems to be finding it. His problem this year has been 1 inning where he has been hit hard. So you don't want him to get comfortable and get himself into a groove, and that's when the strikeouts start piling up. The big inning has really been his problem.
He just fooled Adam Lynn. Got him swinging at a breaking ball, and Lynn strikes out for the 2nd time.
Got him looking the first time, and here's that big breaking ball. Perfect location on the outer half. Lester says that if I execute my pitches, everything is going to be just fine. His last start against Minnesota, cruising right along, and then made 1 bad pitch to Justin Morneau, and he took him deep and ended up losing.
On the ground, gloved by Lowell from his knees. Not in time, though, as Roland gets to first safely. Well, Scott picks up a single, but that had extra bases written all over it.
Yeah, he keeps the double play in order by the quickness that he had. This ball was hit hard by Roland, one of the better fielders in all of baseball. One of the best fielding percentages in all of baseball, and it's such a surprise that Lowell's only won 1 Gold Glove in his career. Just 1, when he leads the league year in and year out in fielding percentage.
Kevin Millar fouls this one away. Pat, the Blue Jays have just 3 hits so far today, all of them infield hits.
Infield singles. He's got that cutter really working well against the righties. His fastball's worked, and you saw that breaking ball. So, again, you don't want to let him get comfortable.
Millar on the 0-1 looks at a strike. Lester's coming off a terrific season last year, in which he won 16 games, pitched 210 innings, had the 4th best ERA in the American League as it's hammered foul by Millar. And frankly, those kind of numbers were expected of him after he won the decisive game of the 07 World Series Game 4 against Colorado. It seemed to propel him into the spotlight in Boston.
Only Cliff Lee and Joe Saunders had more wins last year for lefties in the American League. Shows you the kind of class that he's in.
He does not get Millar to bite on that pitch. It's a ball and 2 strikes. 1 away in the last of the 4th inning. And Scott Rowland on an infield single stands at first. Millar swings, and it's out of play.
He is trying to bury that cutter in on his hands, isn't he? But Millar is just a little bit too quick for him. Trying to get in on him so he can hit a ground ball. This is where you might want to try something away. Does he have one of those backdoor cutters? And maybe Millar just taps the ball to the shortstop. Varitek is excellent at calling pitches and getting a good feel for hitters.
Looks like they're going to come back inside. They do. And Millar's caught looking.
Right at the bottom of the strike zone. Second time Millar has gone down. Fastball right at the knees. 2, 4, 6 strikeouts now, 4 of them looking by Lester.
We'd like to remind you, you can watch 100 out-of-market games every week live on your computer by logging on and signing up for MLB.tv, the highest quality of baseball available on the internet. More information can be found at BlueJays.com. 2 gone, 1 on. Rod Barajas, the hitter. Barajas is 0 for 1. He grounded out to third in the second inning. It's Boston 4 and the Blue Jays 1 in the third and final game of this series. Lester the pitch. And it's out of play. John Lester certainly pitches deliberately.
Yeah, he really slows the game down when a runner gets on base, doesn't he? And that's a good thing if you're a Blue Jays fan. That's what I was talking about. Let's get him out of his rhythm. Get some guys on base, slow him down, make him become a little bit more deliberate. That's where he has had his problems this year.
He's certainly living up to his billing as a strikeout pitcher. He's struck out 6 to this point and allowed, as we mentioned, just 3 infield singles.
You know his stuff is good when you get a lot of called third strikes. 4 of them now out of the 6 this afternoon.
Varitek stands up and Barajas goes after it. A high fastball gets Barajas. 1 man left, and we take it back to the studio. An update coming from Jim Lang. At the fastest and most reliable period. And yes, the Blue Jays were recently swept at Fenway Park, but they've won 7 of 11 against the Red Sox here at Rogers Center. Might remember last year the Red Sox had to play that series to start the season in Japan. and then played their first series here in Toronto and were swept in 3 games. An exhausted Boston team came into town.
Did I see that they split the 18 games last year 9-9?
You got it.
Did the home team win like every time or something?
The Blue Jays were 5-4 here, and the Red Sox 5-4 there. So yes, it worked out beautifully. Ricky Romero was still in the minor leagues then. This is rookie season as he faces Kevin Youkilis, who victimized him in the first inning on a solo home run to center field. We caught a glimpse down in the bullpen of Scott Richmond warming up. He continues to throw for the Jays.
Yeah, Ricky's pitch count now up into the 80s as we head into the top of the 5th inning. So just in case he gets himself into trouble early.
Line foul.
They'll have Scott Richmond ready.
We saw Ricky make his big league debut here April 9th against Rick Porcello of the Tigers. And didn't he impress? 6 innings, 2 earned runs, picked up his first victory. Ball 4. So he walks the lead man.
This one looked like the same pitch that Kevin Millar struck out and right down at the bottom of the strike zone, but it's called ball 4. And now the big bats are coming up.
Jason Bay takes a hack. 0-1. Bay has a 2.5-year-old daughter named Addison who will stand in front of the television watching her father hit, and she says something like "Dada home run." And Jason feels that of the 14 that he's hit this year, if she says that 50 times a game, he's probably run into one shortly thereafter.
Well, he's done it a lot with runners on base, hasn't he?
That's why he's really piled up the RBIs this year, 48 of them.
Just a couple Han Solo jobs, right?
His most recent in Minneapolis, in fact. A rare solo home run. This is where he thrives, men on base. And Romero's having his troubles here.
Just a little bit out of sorts, it looks like. Don't know if Ricky Romero's arm strength is there after shutting it down for a couple of weeks. He was throwing hard late into his starts. That's fastball right there, 89 miles an hour. He was throwing 92, 93 when this game started, and I think Cito Gaston kind of senses the same thing.
Scott Richmond is making his way in from the bullpen, and that is the end of the line then for Ricky Romero. We'll take a break and watch Richmond pitch against the Red Sox next. for the first time as a member of this team. And as we look at his numbers and he warms up, why don't we take it downstairs where we find Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, coming into this series against Boston Cito Gaston, wanting to use his bullpen as little as possible. And technically, Scott Richmond is the 8th man in the pen as he'll get to start Saturday against Kansas City. So doing his best here to try and bridge the gap. I know you talked to Cito before the game, and Downs and League are both available, but obviously that situation at this point not presenting itself. So Richmond will be looked upon to take up some innings here.
They are well rested after the day off on Thursday. And then the use of just 2 relievers in this series in both Brandon League and Scott Downs in the first 2 games.
And then a day off tomorrow and Halliday on Tuesday. When you don't really need the bullpen when Roy's out there. That's right.
So Richmond in relief, and this one yanked down the line by Lowell. And a fair ball into the corner it goes. Youkilis scampers home. Bays up to third. Lowell doubles, and it's now 5-1.
He was able to keep that ball fair. A lot of times when you see right-handed batters pull the ball down the left field line, they're going to hook that ball, and it ends up going foul. Lowell was able to pull his hands in, keep the barrel in the hitting zone, and that ball stays fair. Look at that. Straight as an arrow right down the line, right in front of that 328 sign. Extra bases for Lowell, an RBI, and a big inning, really setting up now for the Red Sox.
And David Ortiz comes off a double in his last at bat and does not have to face a left-hander now. He goes after the first one, popping it up. Roland calls off Barajas, and he's got it for the out. Richmond started on Sunday, a week ago today, down in Atlanta. He was actually in the bullpen for quite a long period of time last September, but was never used.
He was in the bullpen a lot yesterday when Brian Talent was having his trouble the first couple of innings yesterday. It was Scott Richmond who was up, throwing for about 3 or 4 straight innings until Talent found his release point and ended up pitching a beautiful ball game. But Richmond, it looked like he threw about 4 or 5 innings in the bullpen yesterday.
Runners at second and third for the Red Sox, 1 away, 1 strike on Varitek. That's at the ankles, ball 1. Infield is in here with Varitek at the plate. That looked close. Way too close. It's 2-1.
Well, you have a base open to work with right here. You don't have to throw a strike to Varitek. And he doesn't. Breaking ball underneath the bat. The bad part about that philosophy, though, is you got a guy on deck who's very fast and does not hit into a lot of double plays. So pick your poison.
Andy Fletcher grants time. Richmond steps out, and now they reset. Here's the 2-2 pitch, bouncing in front of Barajas.
Well, we've seen this a lot this afternoon. Rod Barajas goes down very quickly, goes to his knees and just smothers that ball. Good job there, keeping the runners for now at second and third.
Oh my, Kevin Millar, pinpoint, catches that bullet.
And as a hitter, you know what you say, why are you so close to the line like that? Infield is in, you hit the ball really hard, but you are not rewarded. Watch where Millar catches the ball. I mean, he is almost on that line. He takes a half a step and he's right on that line. Defensing, and they're going to walk Ellsbury, and that's where all the scouting reports and things like that come in very handy.
The spray charts. They read that one beautifully. And how many times have we seen that in this series where, if not Millar, Lyle Overbay is standing very close to the bag and he's catching, in the instance against David Ortiz, a line shot.
I say thank goodness Millar has that glove on the left-hand side, because that ball was really hooking. I don't know if Lyle, maybe he could reach across his body with his other hand to make that play, but good job there by Millar.
Well, they put Ellsbury on intentionally. And so Nick Green bats with the bases loaded. Green is 0 for 1. He grounds the first one to Scudero, and they get the force. So after all of that, the Red Sox get one and lead this game 5-1.
Jays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Good crowd here at Rogers Center for the Sunday afternoon game against the Boston Red Sox. The visitors lead it 5-1. Bottom of the fifth inning coming as John Lester pitches with a 4-run lead. He'll see the number 9 hitter here, Jose Bautista. And Lester, who gave up a run in the first, has really settled in and pitched a dandy. He has struck out 7 men, including the side last inning. He got Bautista looking in the second inning. One and two. Strike 3. So that's 8 strikeouts, 3 consecutive. And this from a guy who has an ERA over 6 this year. And Pat, you touched on it at the beginning of the game. It's a matter of executing his pitches. He's doing that today.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's using all three of his pitches. This is a fastball on the outside part of the plate. It looked like the umpire called that thinking it was strike 2. Usually you get the animated strike 3. That time it looked like he just raised his right arm. 8th time that a Blue Jay batter has gone down swinging or via the strikeout. Lester is on a roll now. Remember we were talking last inning, let's get him out of that? 4 of the last 5 batters have gone down now on strikeouts.
Well, here's a good guy to break his rhythm because Marco Scutaro has his 7th straight multi-hit game and 2 infield singles. Both of them choppers off the plate. He has made life miserable for the shortstop Green today. The 2-2 pitch up high. Ball 3.
Lester's high in strikeouts this year is 10. He was able to do that in 7 innings against the Yankees a few starts back. When he has all 3 of his pitches working, it's tough to just sit on one thing. Fastball inside. Got a good sweeping curveball. Tremendous cutter. And Andy Fletcher punches out Scutaro, who thinks it's ball 4. You see him asking some of the guys on the bench, did that look like it was high and outside? But you could see Jason Varitek, the catcher, do a good job right there of just holding it right there and kind of bringing it back in. And from that high home shot, you can tell that that wasn't a strike. It was a little outside.
But give Lester his 9th strikeout and 4th consecutive. He got Aaron Hill swinging in the first. Aaron is 0 for 2 and calls time. Still looking for that first hit that would extend a hit streak to 14 games. The Blue Jays this afternoon only have 3 of them.
Tough to square up a ball that's cutting in on you if you're a right-hander or away if you're a left-hander. That's why we haven't seen too many balls hit very hard by the Jays this afternoon. Then you start looking for that ball on the inner half, or that ball starts cutting in and he changes up on you, keeps it away. I was talking to Brian Butterfield before the game, and I was asking him about Lester, and he says, hey, he's got some of the best stuff in the American League.
2-1 changeup outside. So it's 3-1. And that's why, again, we marvel at the numbers.
A losing record.
Yep.
An ERA over 6. I mean, when he came into the season, again, 27-8 record, which is fantastic. I mean, that's Sandy Koufax type numbers.
And now you know why the Red Sox were so eager to put his name on a long-term contract. They signed him to a 5-year extension in the middle of March. A first-round pick, excuse me, a second-round pick back in 2002.
They have had some great drafts the last couple of years, haven't they?
They certainly have.
The Boston Red Sox, we're starting to see a lot of their homegrown players get up here. Had a chance to see Daniel Bard the other day. Jacoby Ellsbury is a recent draft pick. Lester.
Pedroia. Strike 2 on Alex Rios. Teams are focusing now a little more on development with the high price of aging free agents.
You know, Jamie, also if you have a great farm system and you've got the bankroll chance like the Boston Red Sox have, boy, that is really powerful. If you've got the farm system and you've got the money to be able to afford big-time free agents. Remember, the Red Sox made a big play, and they thought they had Mark Teixeira. So when you can go out and get guys like that and develop some of the players that they have over the last few years, one of the players that they developed that went away is probably one of the best players in baseball. We're going to see him in a couple of weeks. Hanley Ramirez was a Boston Red Sox minor leaguer.
Boy, John Lester is just knocking him down. 10 strikeouts so far today. 5 innings of work, and his team leads 5-1.
Yeah, 4+ innings. He did pitch into the 5th inning, gave up 6 hits, 5 earnies. Problem for Ricky today were twofold. 5 base on balls, and the home run ball was not very kind to him. A couple of home runs accounting for 4 of the 5 runs this afternoon. 91 pitches for Romero, so we'll see him in about 4 days from now.
There's Pedroia taking a cut against reliever Scott Richmond. Of the 5 walked by Romero today, 2 came in to score. And so the Red Sox hitters were able to take advantage of Ricky on this day. Richmond in long relief here. When Scott came in with nobody out in the 5th inning, he gave up a double that scored Youkilis, but was able to get out of the rest of the inning unscathed. He gets a pop-up into shallow center field off the end of Pedroia's bat, and Wells puts Pedroia away for the first out of the 6th.
Didn't know if we were going to see Dustin Pedroia this afternoon after he got hit in the knee yesterday.
I was wondering if we'd see him for a week or two after the sound of that ball that came in and hit him square on the left knee.
That was a thud, wasn't it? But he's a tough kid. They said he's going to be sore, but says no big deal. It's swollen, yeah, but I'll be in there. It certainly is. Homered his last time up.
And here's J.D. Drew, who is in because of the fact that Rocco Baldelli is sore. Strike one. Now Baldelli took batting practice today and said he'll be fine after icing down his left knee. A day off tomorrow. He said he'll probably get a chance to play Thursday when Dontrell Willis goes against the Red Sox at Comerica Park.
They're probably happy just to get off of turf. They played in Minnesota, 4 games on their AstroTurf, 3 more here at Rogers Center.
Popped up, back of third. Roland goes out, Scudero 2, but Bautista calls them both off. 2 gone in the 6th inning. Blue Jay gift cards can be found at Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, Loblaws, or by ordering them online at BlueJays.com. These gift cards can be redeemed for both tickets and merchandise. Two out for Kevin Youkilis. Richmond is slated to start next Saturday against the Kansas City Royals. The Angels are here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The rotation will see Halliday, Jansen, and Tallett go in that series. Ricky Romero would start the first one Friday against Kansas City, and Richmond would bring up the rear. So in fact, you get a chance here with 6 more home games coming up after this one to see Roy Halladay twice. Tuesday night here against LA, next Sunday afternoon against Kansas City. And Youkilis strikes out, swinging at a pitch about 2 feet off the plate. 1, 2, 3, 6 for the Jays here. They'll come to the plate with Vernon Wells leading off. Side Rogers Center on a cool day in southern Ontario, and we're glad that you've joined us this afternoon. I'm Jamie Campbell with Pat Tabler and Sam Cosentino. It has been all John Lester so far. 10 strikeouts, 3 measly hits for the Blue Jays, all of them infield singles, and just 1 run driven in the first inning by Vernon Wells on a sacrifice fly.
But I've got some bad news, good news, bad news for you.
Go for it.
Bad news is, if you're the Blue Jays, Lester's locked in. 10 strikeouts. His next one will be a career high. Good news is, with all those strikeouts, that pitch count is like jumping up there. I mean, I don't know how much longer we're going to see him. He's up over 100 now. Terry Francona knows that, so he's got some action going in the bullpen. Bad news is, you'd have to turn it over to that bullpen, and the bullpen's been the best in the American League so far.
They've got some good arms down there. Let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
He's averaging about 104 pitches per start with his season high at 114. So a couple of batters here, and that could be it for Lester.
That's 101 there to Vernon Wells, 3-1. So Justin Masterson is the right-hander. Wells, the leadoff hitter here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Takes it foul, 3-2.
Lester really got himself on a roll starting in the 4th inning. A walk and an infield hit has all that he's given up. The rest of the outs have all come via the strikeout. This is where he has been tough right here, finishing off hitters.
Popped up. Varitek tosses the mask. And right in the Blue Jays on deck circle. Puts away Wells. We talked about the upcoming schedule. Roy Halladay goes against the Angels Tuesday. We'll have the game for you on Rogers Sportsnet. He defeated the Angels in Anaheim on the 6th of May. Kansas City is here too, and then it's off to Texas for 4. And aren't the Rangers hitting the ball with authority? They're wasting the Oakland A's over this weekend series.
Then it's back into interleague play. The Marlins, the Phillies, and the Nationals.
I talked about Roy starting that last game of the series here against Kansas City. That means he doesn't have to face the Texas Rangers. I wonder if he's happy about that.
Are you talking about the line drive?
Well, that, and just the fact that when you get Chris Davis and Josh Hamilton and all those guys hitting the way they're hitting, Ian Kinsler at the top of the order, they can be awfully dangerous down there. And yes, he had a bit of a bad spell there, did he not? There's the 1-1 to Adam Lynn. Lester gets it over for a strike.
As good as John Lester has been in his very young career, we talked about the inconsistencies this year. You know, he has not won back-to-back games this year. Hard to believe when you see some of the stuff that's coming out of his arm this afternoon.
That's very surprising.
In 5 of the 10 starts that he has had this year, we talked about the 1 inning. That has been the downfall, or 1 pitch. The pitch there, 4 runs or more in an inning in 5 of his 10 starts this year. Blue Jays haven't even come close to having a big inning against him this afternoon.
His 16 victories last year, the most by a Boston Red Sox left-hander since Bruce Hurst. Won 18 games in 1988. Ten strikeouts, 3 groundouts, 2 by way of the flyout.
Good pitch
and he
there.
gets rid of, boy, oh boy. He just blew that past Adam Lynn, and that's his 11th strikeout.
He's going in, he's going out, he's going hard, he's going soft, he's going up, he's going down. The prior pitch to this one was something inside that really tied up Adam. This time he goes away. Look where this pitch is, right on the outside part of the plate. Strikeout number 11, which sets a new career high for John Lester. He's gotten Adam Lynn 3 times this afternoon.
He starts Scott Rowland with strike 1. His pitch total's now up to 112. Rowland is late, 0-2.
You see how he is adding and subtracting right there. Backdoor breaking ball, something soft, and then goes something hard upstairs. Well, he can go just about anywhere right now. The show me fastball. I bet you he cuts one in now on Rowland.
That's over the plate and taken foul. It's a good illustration, and you talk about this a lot about the importance of changing the speeds. You often say that it doesn't matter if a pitcher has 4 different pitches. If they're all the same speed, you're going to catch up to them eventually.
Boy, those were the easiest kind of pitchers to hit, the guys who threw everything the same speed. But when they can add and subtract and move that ball around the strike zone, good things like this happen.
There's a great example there. Another strikeout. Give Lester 12 on the day. What a performance. Toronto had a sweep in mind when they started the afternoon, but John Lester has really looked so good on the hill for the Red Sox. The Blue Jays have been able to accomplish basically nothing offensively. Combine that with a short outing by Ricky Romero. And now Sean Camp relieves Scott Richmond, who looked good over 2 innings of relief work.
Last time we saw Sean Camp was a week ago down in Atlanta. Just the third of an inning and 3 earned runs crossing the plate. Camp works very quickly, sinks and slides his fastball. Getting some work here in the later innings against Boston. First batter who will face will be Jason Bay.
After that game in Atlanta, it looks like Camp forgot to put his hat in the laundry bin.
Using the dirt, huh?
Oh, my goodness. 2-0 on Jason Bay. Looks like he has icing on the top of his head. A strike, 2-1. Bay's been on all 3 times today. He doubled in the first inning and has walked twice since. Bay from Trail, British Columbia, was the final out of that riveting game against the United States in this building on the 7th of March at the World Baseball Classic. J.J. Putz got him to fly out to right field in a game certainly remembered by anybody that was here. One of the best ball games we've seen in this building in a long, long time.
Electric here, wasn't it?
Oh, my.
Thought we were watching the 7th game of the World Series.
It certainly felt like
the excitement and the buzz that was in the ballpark that day.
And then they came out 2 days later in front of a handful of people and were stunned in a 6-2 loss to Italy. And that was it. End of the tournament. Strike 3. Hayes gone for the first time.
Good movement. We talked about it when Camp took over. He's got good movement on his fastball. He'll sink it and slide it. Bay gives up on this pitch. Watch how it comes back. Right over the plate, and he knew it.
It's almost time to wish happy 20th birthday to Rogers Center. And this coming Friday, Flashback Friday, they'll flash back with a whole crew from the '89 team like Mookie Wilson, Jesse Barfield, Mike Flanagan, Tom Henke, Tony Fernandez, Kelly Gruber. If you want to see a list of the names, go to bluejays.com/1989, and you can get your tickets by visiting a local Rogers Plus location. Swing and a miss from Mike Lowell. 20 years in this building. Oh, 2 pitch on Lowell, and that's down for ball 1.
Did you come to any of the games back in '89 when this place first opened?
I did, and the tickets were so hard to come by. The best I could do was upper deck, 2 rows from the top against the then California Angels. That was the first game I saw here. You were playing with, in '89,
KC.
Not the Blue Jays. You were with Kansas City. Did you guys get here middle of the summer, later on? Did you get here at all? Because they opened in June, did they not?
Right. Well, back then, we probably made 3 trips here because there weren't as many teams. There were only 2 divisions, right?
Yep.
If I can remember.
So I'm sure it was Milwaukee that was here first.
Right. Were they selling out 50 grand?
As I recall, they were getting great audiences because, like I said, the first game I came to, we found it nearly impossible just to get a seat. And, you know, to be honest with you, it was kind of hard to accept for those who spent all those years going to exhibition stadium. It's always difficult to move, right? And to get used to this place took a while.
Really?
I found it so.
But you have more room. You have more room.
I know that.
You had McDonald's right here,
and I'm not going to deny that the X was a bit of a dump. But when it's the only place you knew as a kid, it's hard to get used to a new place.
The sky boxes, the scoreboard was the first thing I noticed when I came here. It was gigantic and beautiful. Camp having trouble getting that breaking ball over to try and finish off Mike Lowell.
Time called. Camp again on 3-2, and it's fouled away. Boy, you were playing with the Kansas City Royals back then in a stadium that has aged beautifully. Kauffman Stadium. I know they've upgraded it this year, and it looks spectacular.
Yes.
But they never did really have to do a whole lot of work on that place, did they?
Except other than rip out the AstroTurf and plant grass. It's been about the same stadium up until this year.
Here's a liner. Left field. Bautista can't catch up to it. So he picks it up at the wall, lolls into second. And so he doubles.
Second double of the afternoon for Mike Lowell. He struck out his first 2 times against Ricky Romero. Doubled against Scott Richmond his last at bat, and this is just a great at bat. He found himself 0-2 and then fouled off a bunch of tough pitches. Camp couldn't get him out with a breaking ball. He comes in there and he splits the outfielders in left field for extra bases. 17th double. And that's going to be it, I think, for Sean Camp as Cito Gaston is making his way out of that dugout. And B.J. Ryan will appear in this game now in the 7th inning.
5-1 Boston. They've got a man on here in the 7th inning. B.J. Ryan knows what it's like to pitch in the Midsummer Classic. He was the winning pitcher for the American League in the game played in Pittsburgh in 06. Facing a guy who's been there many, many times, David Ortiz. 1 out, top of the 7th inning. Lowell at second. Ryan replaces Sean Camp. Boston on top 5-1, looking for more. Popped up near third. In comes Roland. And out goes Ortiz.
Seen that a couple of times this afternoon from David Ortiz. He doubled to snap an 0-for streak here at Rogers Center a couple of times ago, and then a couple of pop-ups. B.J. Ryan's numbers: 8 walks in just 10 2/3 innings. He's only gotten into 12 games this year.
Veritek is put on intentionally. And they'll choose instead to face Jacoby Ellsbury. Ryan pitched twice in the series down in Baltimore. And really had a lot of trouble in both outings. He gave up a pair of runs in what was then a 2-1 game in favor of the Orioles in the 7th inning. They went on to win it 4-1. And then came in the bottom of the 11th with the Blue Jays on top by 2 on the afternoon game on Wednesday, and gave up a leadoff single to Nick Markakis, who later came around to score in a 4-run 11th inning for the Orioles. This has to be a bit of an awkward time for Ryan, because his role really isn't clearly defined right now.
Cito Gaston's got to find some innings for him. They have given the closer's job to Scott Downs. Brandon League, if you've watched the last couple of games, is now the 8th inning guy. Jason Frazier has done a nice job in the 7th inning, along with Jesse Carlson. So these are the kind of games where BJ's got to find it. Cito finding some innings for him.
Ellsbury flies to left field, and that's out number 3. 2 men left on base. Bottom of the 7th coming up. Well, Pat, I think the old line comes into this one. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap to good pitching, and that seems to be the case here today.
Yeah, John Lester was sensational through 6 innings, just 3 hits, infield hits. Blue Jays had a tough time squaring up anything against Lester this afternoon, a career high in strikeouts with 12. They take a 4-run lead into the bottom of the 7th inning, and they will turn it over to a new pitcher. Terry Francona dips into his bullpen, and it's a good one. And they bring out big Justin Masterson. Masterson has started 6 games this year for Boston. He is relieved in 6 games this year. Power sinker, good slider. Opponent's batting average is a little high for him, but he's one of those guys who's got very good stuff.
He slipped into the rotation after the Red Sox put Daisuke Matsuzaka on the disabled list and went 2-2 in 6 starts. So here he is in the bottom of the 7th inning, facing Kevin Millar, Rod Barajas, and Jose Bautista. Millar struck out twice facing Lester. The kick in, the pitch from Masterson, and it's fouled away 0-2. Justin is certainly a large presence on the mound. He stands 6'6" and weighs in at about 250.
See, they grow him big up in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, is that where he's from? Not far from where you live.
No. Town called Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is just outside of Dayton, maybe about 45 minutes from my home. He really kicks. He's got that high leg kick and that kind of like that pause as he gets back into his windup, and then that ball really sinks and slides nicely. You can tell why he's got a lot of strikeouts, almost 1 per inning pitched.
Here's the 2-2, and it's rolled to Lowell. He picks up and throws out Millar. As mentioned, the Blue Jays have a day off tomorrow, and we'll have the next one for you here on Sportsnet. The Angels are in town beginning Tuesday. Join us at 6:30 Eastern Time. That's 3:30 Pacific for Jays Connected directly ahead of the ball game. A game that pits Roy Halladay against left-hander Joe Saunders. Halladay, as many of you know, has won 8 and lost just once. Saunders now 6-3 on the year. His ERA is at 3.26.
Doc is probably anxious to get back out on that hill after his last start.
I would think so. After what happened in Baltimore on Wednesday, when he handed the bullpen a 5-run lead after 7 innings. The end result that day was what easily amounts to the most disappointing loss the Blue Jays have endured this year.
Should be a fun one on Tuesday. Saunders, a lot like Lester, as that ball is sliced down the right field line and foul. A lot like Lester, a good left-hander, one of the better ones in the American League. Should be a good pitching matchup.
Everybody was handing the Angels first place in their division this year, yet again it seems. And yet there are those surprising Texas Rangers at the top of the division with 30 victories and the best record in the American League.
When Masterson is right, you'll also see a lot of ground ball outs. That 3/4 delivery, good late break, downward motion, making it awfully tough on right-handers. You'll see a lot of balls topped when he is on the mound.
He's facing a pretty good low ball hitter.
Yeah. Rod can go down and get him with the best of them, can't he? Doesn't get cheated. Slider had Barajas out front just a little bit, and it just kind of hung in his wheelhouse a little bit. Pulls it foul.
There's a strikeout. So Masterson has 1. The Red Sox have 13, and the Blue Jays have hit only 1 ball into the outfield this entire day. That was the sacrifice fly that Vernon Wells hit to score Marco Scutaro.
Well, the only guys who've been busy have been the pitcher and the catcher.
That's right. And Bautista falls behind 0-1. He has struck out twice. The 0-1 pitch, Masterton. Doesn't get him to chase there. It's 1-1. Yet another good draft pick by the Red Sox here in Masterson, taken in the 2nd round. Very recently, 2006.
Yeah, it didn't take him very long to get up here. He jumped a couple of times in 2007 and 2008. Started 2006 in A-ball, Double-A, Triple-A in 2008. And then got into 36 games and 9 starts last year. They feel like he is very good coming out of the bullpen because he throws strikes and he's got good movement and strike guys out. They have some starters now, Boston, and they've got some backups in case there are some injury. Clay Buchholz has done well in AAA. John Smoltz is on rehab.
Pitching today. Outside, I was reading about some of Smoltz's rehab starts in Single-A, also in the Gulf Coast League, and he's been noticing that some of the young players don't get a whole lot of meal money, so he's been buying buffets after his starts for some of the young players.
Nice.
In fact, one player on one of the teams, I think it was in the Red Sox Gulf Coast League affiliate, said when we all got to the ballpark, we huddled to find out who was going to be the first guy to go and ask him for his autograph. Which I guess you get if you're a future Hall of Famer going into a rehab stint. Down low, ball 4. A 2-out walk to Bautista. And the Blue Jays desperately need some base runners here in the 7th inning. The Jays only have 3 hits. Scutaro has 2 of them.
Boy, they just have not been able to hit a ball with authority into the outfield. The pitchers this afternoon by the Red Sox have been able to keep it down. They've been able to keep it for the most part out of the middle of the plate. And even the swings that we have seen from some of the Blue Jay batters just have not been compact and solid. That pitch down and away from Scutaro, he has to reach for it. There's a good one.
But it's lined right at the right fielder, J.D. Drew. Well, they got it out of the infield.
I know they've struggled on the road to score runs, but one thing that Terry Francona and Dave Magadan, the hitting coach for the Boston Red Sox, are going to be happy about is of their 8 hits, 6 of them are extra base hits, and that's something that the Boston Red Sox have always been very good at. Work the count and get extra base hits. They've been able to capitalize on that. 8 hits and 5 runs. Into the 8th inning we go. And another pitcher for the Blue Jays. This will be the 5th of the afternoon for Cito Gaston.
Right-hander Brian Wolf takes over from B.J. Ryan. Wolf last pitched in the disaster on Wednesday. In fact, it was Wolf who gave up 2 straight singles and then a walk-off home run to Nolan Reimold. And he took the loss against the Orioles. A 12-10 defeat in the bottom of the 11th inning. So he's back on the hill getting a strike on the number 9 hitter Nick Green. Green hits it in the air to center field. Wells chasing it toward the wall and plays it off the base. Green has a double. So he adds his name to those with hits for the Red Sox.
Little pop if you throw that ball in the middle of the plate and he goes down and drives that ball. Vernon Wells was shading him to left field ever so slightly and not very deep. Long way to run for Vernon to get that one. He cannot come up with it. 10th double for Nick Green this year.
And second in this series. Pedroia turns away.
Not a bad idea right there. Get that ball down, tack on another run. They've lost the last 2 games here in this series. You don't want to be taking anything for granted right here.
He drops a beauty. And Hill will underhand just in time to get Pedroia. So that moves Green up to 3rd. And with 1 away, J.D. Drew will try and bring home a 6th run.
Second time this afternoon that the Red Sox have sacrificed a runner over. It worked the last time. Job here by Pedroia. That ball is up around his neck area. And he's able to get that ball down on the ground. Tough to do that. Last time they sacrificed, that was the inning that Pedroia unloaded that home run.
Hit hard to center field. Deep enough to cash Green. Wells is there. Green comes home, and J.D. Drew has knocked in the Red Sox 6th run of the game, make it a 6-1 lead.
Good situational hitting right there. Tack on a run. Everybody's happy when the team scores a run like that. Double, sack bunt, sack fly, 5-run lead. Just like that.
Two out, bases clear, and Kevin Youkilis is back. The Red Sox, if you've just joined us, hit 2 home runs in the game against starter Ricky Romero. Youkilis had a solo shot. It was Pedroia's 3-run effort in the 4th that really opened the doors for the Red Sox. So Romero is the pitcher of record here. A loss in this game would even his record at 2-2. Another strike thrown by Wolf. 1-2 on Youkilis. Ryan is the 4th reliever used by Cito Gaston. Hammered to left field. Well hit. And she's gone quickly. Youkilis has his second home run of the game.
You know, and both of the home runs, if we were in Fenway Park, are doubles.
That's right.
Line drive from Kevin Youkilis that just clears the wall in left field for home run number 9. Looked like a fastball on the inner half and down, and he is a dead ball, low ball hitter. Gets all of it. Watch this one, just getting over the fence for the home run. Pedroia's home run was right down the line, right off the foul pole, maybe a couple of inches over the wall.
And now Bay scorches this one, and back to back. The good Canadian gets one too. And for Jason Bay, that's his 15th this year.
He has been on base 4 times today. A couple of walks, a double his first time up, and now this. First ball, fastball, inner half. And that ball was hit hard by Bay, clears the wall. The 4th 2-homer game of the year by the Red Sox. Youkilis's 2-homer game. Bay did it back on April the 11th. Veritek did it twice. You mentioned it May 20th against Toronto. Back-to-back home runs. 3rd time the Red Sox have done that this year. Youkilis was involved in the first one, along with J.D. Drew back on April the 12th.
Certainly Boston writers will corner Bay after the game and find out what's the deal with hitting 2 consecutive solo home runs. He's been hitting so many with people on base. Well, when the Red Sox came to the park today, they were facing the prospect of getting swept by the Blue Jays, but they have answered with authority. John Lester had been sensational over 6, and the offense has really shown up. 4 home runs, 3 different players.
How about all the extra base hits? We talked about that in the in-game box score starting this inning. 3 more this inning. What does that give him? 8 now? 9. 9 extra base hits out of their 11.
Here's Wolf into his windup. The 2-2 pitch fools Lowell, and he's gone on strikes. But the Red Sox score 3 times and increase their lead to 7. adds to the in-game box score for the Blue Jays.
Lots of Ks. 13 of them this afternoon by Red Sox pitching. Sacrifice fly by Vernon Wells tied the score in the bottom of the first inning, and that has been all the scoring that the Blue Jays have been able to put together this afternoon.
And Aaron Hill is without a base hit. He is sitting on a 13-game hit streak right now. And this may just be his last opportunity to extend it. Let's see how he fares against Justin Masterson, who follows a masterful performance by John Lester today. Lester went 6 and struck out a career-high 12. He allowed just 3 hits, 2 to Marco Scutaro. None of them got out of the infield. In the 8th, Hill, Rios, and Wells, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters are coming up. Green throws out Aaron, and he's without a base hit in this ball game. Later today, Jim Lang and Arash Madani have Sportsnet connected. They're back at it quickly in Detroit, game 2 of the Stanley Cup. Detroit winning the opener there against Pittsburgh. So they'll get you set for the second game.
Back-to-back NHL?
Back-to-back.
That hasn't happened in a while, has it?
I don't know. I think, in fact, that they go 3, 4, and 5 back-to-back-to-back, too. I don't think there's a day off between games 3 and 5. This one's been for the birds. If you look at the bright side here, Pat, the Blue Jays, after losing 9 in a row, take 2 of 3. Assuming all stays the same here. And I think the way they were feeling coming off that road trip, it's a plus to know that they will get out of this series with a series victory. And there is a home run by Alex Rios.
And what this series has done also, the return of Alex Rios' power. 4 hits in yesterday's ball game. A walk, a stolen base, and now this. Hanging breaking ball from Masterson. And this shows you the type of power that Rios has. Watch where this one lands in left field, and it got out of here in a hurry. Second deck.
It took until the 8th inning, but the Blue Jays finally get an extra base hit.
You know, a lot of times coaches and players will look at series and they just want to win series, okay? And you mentioned it. The big picture is they took the Red Sox and took 2 out of 3. Now they have to focus on their next opponent, the Angels, and they're tough. They've got good pitching. They've got a deep bullpen. They've got some hitters coming back from injury. But they've got Roy Halladay throwing the first game, so that's always a good thing.
And hasn't he been good this year? 8 wins, just 1 loss. And now this ball slapped by Wells and caught by a backtracking Youkilis. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership.
Well, I know there's one guy who's happy that John Lester's out of the ball game.
You're looking at him. Adam Lynn struck out 3 times against Lester. Lester got him looking at a curveball in the first, got him to swing at a curveball in the fourth, got him swinging again in the sixth. Base hit.
There you go. That will make you feel good as you head into an off day. Getting a hit your last time up after 3 punch outs. All 3 of his hits against the Red Sox the last couple of days have been the other way. He took fastballs away from him for hits yesterday. This time an inside out swing nets him a base hit.
2 gone for Scott Rowland. He takes a strike. Rowland picked up an infield single in the 4th inning. One hop to Youkilis. He plays the bag and gets rolling. The Blue Jays are retired in the 8th. They get a run on the Rios home run. It's 8-2 Boston. Blue Jays, there's number 6, John McDonald. He'll play short from here on in. And Joe Inglet is now the new center fielder. Vernon Wells will watch from the bench. In the top of the 9th inning, look at the Red Sox leading 8-2. Trying to get out of Toronto with a single victory in this 3-game series. David Ortiz got his first hit in the series with a double in the 4th inning. And so he was on base when Dustin Pedroia hit a line shot off the foul pole and left and gave the Red Sox a 4-1 lead. They have not looked back. Brian Wolf in his 2nd inning of relief was roughed up in the 8th inning. He gave up a double to Nick Green. Green was brought home on a sacrifice fly, and with 2 out, Youkilis and Bay went back-to-back with solo home runs against Wolf. Swing and a miss from Ortiz. He can't commit there. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
A couple of times in this series that we have seen David Ortiz really be fooled by breaking balls. I don't know if he's committing a little bit too early or his weight shift is a little early or a little late, but when he was going well, he seemed to be on everything. That was kind of a half swing at a curveball.
Two and two, and there he goes, down on strikes. This has certainly been a forgettable stay for Ortiz here in Toronto. He'll try and figure things out next, beginning Tuesday in Detroit. Jason Varitek is next. And you know Terry Francona would love to have reason to move Ortiz back up in the order, but until he shows something.
And I think he will as soon as he starts turning it around and starts hitting. Last year, I believe he hit the least amount of home runs in a long, long time.
Varitek slams it foul. 2 balls, 1 strike.
23 home runs for Ortiz last year. 35 the year before. 54 home runs the year before that. Good veteran hitters, though. You know, it's only a matter of time before you got to figure they're going to come out of it. Do something.
The thing about Ortiz, though, is that when he hit that home run about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago against Brett Cecil, I think most people in Boston thought, okay, this is the start. That was about 140 some odd at bats between home runs. As Varitek swings there over top, 3-2. There might be a few from Red Sox Nation going, okay, you got your first one, but that was 2 weeks ago.
But usually, big home run hitters like that, they hit them in bunches. When they get them, they'll hit 2 in a series, and then they'll hit 3 in a series. Kind of like what we have seen from Luke Scott and Morneau's like that. They get into that groove. That's one thing that you could watch for with Ortiz.
Hey, coming up tonight at 8 Eastern Time, 5 Pacific. Sunday night baseball. And this one comes your way from Wrigley Field. It's the Dodgers and the Cubs. Eric Milton for Los Angeles. Sean Marshall for the Cubs. The Northsiders coming off a win yesterday. They defeated the Dodgers 7-0. Ryan Dempster picked up the win. One out and 1 on here in the 9th inning. Ellsbury, the hitter, slaps it into left field, and it hangs up for Bautista. And again, our next game to be broadcast on Tuesday. First pitch is shortly after 7 o'clock as the Angels and the Blue Jays start a 3-game series. Roy Halladay takes the hill for Toronto. Join us for the pregame show, Jays Connected, at 6:30 Eastern. That's 3:30 Pacific time. Nick Green takes a cut, 0-1.
There's some rumors now going around about what the Red Sox need if they're going to make a push to get into the playoffs. And there's talk of maybe trading some of their young players for an everyday shortstop. Jed Lowry who opened the season as their shortstop first 5 games, is on the DL. We'll see how that plays out as the summer goes along. Rios hauls that one in. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Blue Jays are down by 6.
Win. Ramirez pitched 2/3 of an inning, came in the 7th, gave up a single to Scudero, a single to Rios. Wells doubled in a run, and he took the loss in Boston's 5-3 defeat. Here he's got a comfortable lead. 8-2 is the score.
And you know what this is? This is Terry Francona, the manager. He knows that he needs Ramirez as this season goes along. And he was very down and very upset after last night's game. He has an off day tomorrow. Let's get Ramirez back out there and have a good inning right here so he feels good heading into that off day in that series in Detroit.
Don't make him wait, in other words.
Yeah, don't make him think about it for a couple of days and then put him in a tough situation in the 8th inning. Let's get him out here, get his confidence right back, because he was really down.
That's a veteran move.
Yes.
Millar pops out to the shortstop green, 1 away, 9th inning.
Terry's like that, you know. He'll manage ball players. He's got a good feel for him, a good rapport with his players. You watch him during batting practice, and he's out there talking to his players and walking around and seeing how they are. That's all this is for this youngster, to get some work here and feel good about himself after what happened yesterday.
Strike 1 on Barajas. A loss here by the Blue Jays would be their first at home since they were defeated 3-2 by the Yankees on the 14th of May. And it would solidify their May record at 14 wins and 15 losses. They opened the season beautifully, winning 15 and losing 9 in April. Here's a playable ball for Dustin Pedroia, but Drew comes in instead and puts it away for the second out. A little confidence builder here for Ramon Ramirez. And he is now 1 out away from putting the 29th win of the year for the Boston Red Sox to bed. Bautista's 0 for 2. He struck out twice and walked once.
Good pickup by the Boston Red Sox, picking up Ramirez, 21 holds last year, tied him 7th in the American League for relievers. They wanted to get a little bit deeper, their bridge to Jonathan Papelbon. And Ramirez really hasn't disappointed them.
And it really didn't come at a cost, not to take anything away from Coco Crisp, but they know that Jacoby Ellsbury is going to be their starting center fielder.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be playing every day here. Where he could play every day in Kansas City, they needed a center fielder.
And you shed a little salary along the way.
Sure. Kansas City feeling that David DeJesus is better suited for left field than in center field. It was a perfect match, a trade where both clubs made out nicely.
A 2-out walk. Bautista's aboard, and John McDonald will come to the plate. He took over defensively for Scudero to begin the inning. Just 18 at-bats for Johnny Mac this year. We spoke before the game, and the suggestion was made up here in the booth that John McDonald is the least utilized Blue Jay, but perhaps the second most popular behind Roy Halladay. That's a possibility.
When you're in that role, you know, you have to be ready because you're an injury away from playing every single day. And you're called upon here to come in and face a pretty tough reliever. I mean, that's a tough job. Johnny Mac's had a great attitude all the way through this. You don't want to upset the apple cart when things are going well. But when you get your chance, you surely want to hit a ball hard and have something to show for your work.
1 ball and 1 strike. Ramirez sets and fires upstairs. 30,496 the paid attendance here today. Many have already made their way to the exits.
Almost. We almost got it up here.
We've never had one.
Not this year.
Not you and I.
Yeah. Takes a blast to get it all the way up here into the,
it surely does.
The 4th deck.
Good try there, Johnny Mac.
One of the things that you like about Ramirez is he's got a rubber arm. Seems like he can pitch almost every day. 71 appearances last year.
Well, a victory here today by the Red Sox would really tighten things at the top of the division. The Yankees lost 5-4 in Cleveland this afternoon. So a Boston win would push them to within a half game. The Jays would stay put at 1.5 back. Two and 2, and this should do it. 3rd out is recorded, and the Red Sox win 1 here in Toronto. The Blue Jays take the series, but Boston wins the closing game, and they take an emphatic 8-2 victory over the Jays today.
Too much John Lester, 12 strikeouts in 6 innings. The power for the Red Sox come back. Jason Bay goes deep.